Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It only takes 5 seconds and helps me out a lot. So you want to get into Destiny, but you don't know where to start. I can give you some direction. Destiny is a massive game, and I mean massive. There are a lot of different things to do, and within the community, there's a lot of jargon. These all can get confusing and overwhelming, trust me. It overwhelmed me when I first started. So let's talk about the best place to begin. You gotta download the game. I'm joking. If you're watching this video, you've already downloaded it, but be aware, this game is free to play. But there are a lot of expansions to add to the game, much like condiments add to a burger. On that note, this video will assume it's just the base game, meaning no DLCs, but I will give some advice at the end. So you load up the game, you hear some awesome music, and it hypes you up. You then get led to a page about choosing your guardian. You have three choices: Hunter, Warlock, Titan. They all play a bit differently, and it's solely up to you which you choose. The good thing is, there are three Guardian slots, so I recommend making one of each and deciding which is your favorite. Once you spend about 4 hours designing your Guardian, you get sent into the very first cutscene of a new universe, a new life so to speak, and you wake up to see you were once nothing and now you have a tiny, annoying little ghost floating over you. Complete the first mission, and before you do anything else, let me know why you want to play Destiny and what the most intimidating thing is for you. Anyways, the first mission campaign is referred to as the New Light campaign, and I strongly recommend you complete it before going on anything else in this game. The very next place I recommend starting would be jumping into some Vanguard strikes or Vanguard operations. This will start to get you even more honed to skills, gunplay, movement in general, and some of the different enemies that you're going to be facing. You start off with just the Vanguard Ops playlist, which is very simple, and they are the lowest tier of strikes you can do. The next place I would recommend going would be Nightfall strikes, which start to add a little bit more difficulty, and they start to open up to different modifiers that they add during the game. After Nightfalls, I would recommend getting into the Crucible or PvP side of Destiny. The reason for this is because there is some gear that you can get from the Crucible, which is good, as well as it helps you with positioning and gunfights during PvE through it. You start off with your quick play, and then you move on to competitive, and then you have game modes like Iron Banner, which come around twice a season, and you have Trials of Osiris, which is every weekend, and that is the end game content for PvP. One of the other game modes you might see is called Gambit. Gambit is a game mode that ties in PvP and PvE with some very early boss mechanics into the game. It is very weird and seems very confusing at first, but it is not a great place to start because you need to have an idea of how PvP and PvE works. This game mode is nice to start tying in both to get ready for dungeon or raid bosses, getting into endgame PvE, as well as it helps with PvP, knowing how enemies think and where they might be coming from on a map. Again, I do not recommend this for anybody just starting off, but there are some decent weapons and some okay armor from it. After Crucible or Strikes, the next things you can start to get into would be the competitive playlist of Crucible and raids or dungeons. The issue with raids and dungeons is that you need more than one person to do it, meaning for dungeons you need 3 people, and for raids you need 6. Competitive, ideally you want 3 people, but you can do it with just yourself in what's called the freelance playlist. One thing to note is that there are special events that come around for both PvE and PvP. PvP would include Iron Banner, which comes around twice a season, about every 3 to 4 weeks, and Trials of Osiris, which happens every weekend, a few weeks into the season. The last thing that comes around would be your day one raids or dungeons. These come around whenever a new raid or dungeon drops and is set into a contest mode, which buffs everything for 24 hours. This happens about once every 4 months or quarterly throughout the year. Hopefully throughout this video, it gave you some guidance, and I hope it cleared up some things and some progression for where to go once you finish the New Light campaign. This progression could take longer or shorter depending on the player, but don't be alarmed with that because even for me, it took quite a bit of time for me to learn what I know now. One piece of advice that I would give is that if you find your liking in PvE or PvP, do not neglect the other because there are a lot of good weapons or armors and a lot of good lessons that you can learn from it. If there are still any questions, let me know down in the comment and I will do my best to answer. And if enough comments come up, then I will do a follow-up video going more in depth into some of these different activities. As always, thanks again for stopping in, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to check out my Twitch channel where I do a lot of in-game content and a lot of builds on stream as well as these end game content as well.